All good.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I call June 10th, Tuesday, June 10th, 2025 meeting to order at 12:35 p.m. Roll call, please.
All right. Chair Heather,
Here.
Vice Chair Cahill,
Here.
Member Honig,
Here.
Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante, Member Rutledge.
Here.
All right, we have 4 present, which is quorum.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment?
We have no public comments.
Thank you. For the chair's remark, I just want to welcome you all to the second strategic planning meeting of the year 2025. As mentioned in our kickoff meeting in March, today we will focus on the 6 key strategic priorities: community well-being and safe communities. In our Q3 meeting, we will focus on fiscal responsibility and thriving economy. And Q4 meeting, we will focus on environmental stewardship and mobility. I want to thank Jeremy for working so hard with all of these different departments to make sure that we get the updates that fall under these 2 strategic priorities. And I also want to thank each and every department that's here. I know it's a lot of work. I've looked at the slides. So thank you for putting in so much work and being here to present and give us an update today. So without further ado, let's get started.
The approval of the minutes.
Oh, yes, thank you. I seek a motion to approve strategic planning committee
So
regular.
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now we move on to the presentation. Who's up first, Jeremy?
You are, if we can go to the next slide, we'll see the. So we'll start with community services, then go Department of Transportation, Animal Services, Stormwater, and emergency management.
Okay, well, thanks for the opportunity. I will, I'm going to talk about some initiatives that were specifically called out in the strategic plan. There's some specific performance objectives and
So they can
measures.
see you as
Oh, sure.
Can't see her right now.
Um,
You can't see it.
Performance measures that were specifically called out in the plan. And then I also want to talk about projects and activities that are sort of in line with the strategic plan. So we have 5 divisions within the Department of Community Services. So I'm just going to do some really brief kind of highlights from each division. So under our community development unit, we've got 3 affordable housing projects that we're pretty excited about. One that's currently under construction in Addison for it's a senior development, affordable senior development. They're anticipating construction will be done and occupancy will begin within 2025. And then there's an additional 2 projects that we're currently in the underwriting process. Any of you who have served on the Community Development Commission or been involved at all in housing production understand that the development process, before groundbreaking takes years. And a lot of it has to do with all of the financing that has to be put together. And, developments can have anywhere from, maybe 5 to a dozen different financing sources. And so we utilize our federal home funds for all 3 of these projects, but we're currently in the extensive underwriting process for 2 projects, one in Naperville and one in Glen Ellen. Boy, I'm noticing I threw these together quickly and I am noticing typos. I really, so one is in Naperville, one is Glen Ellen. The Naperville project is for 71 seniors and persons with disabilities. Then the Full Circles communities in Glen Ellen will be available for individuals below 60% of median income. Go to the next slide. The Family Center. So if you haven't had a chance to visit our Family Center, that's our division that provides supports to divorced and never married parents and their children. It's across the street, just north of the care center. So last year for the 2025 budget, we requested some additional funds through security to increase, to allow us to have a security guard on full-time during the day, which we hadn't had in the past. What that has allowed is we're able to do neutral exchanges as Neutral exchange is when parents, for whatever a variety of reasons, can't be in the same room at the same time. The exchange, our staff takes the youth from one parent to another. So we're able to do exchanges during the day. We're also able to do more supervised parenting time visits during the day, which is really terrific, especially now that we've got the new playground across the street. So the staff has just been really thrilled with the way we've been able to expand services because of those weekday exchanges and parenting time sessions. We've also begun working with the juvenile courts as at a request of the judges. Judges who are so pleased with what we do at the Family Center reached out and said, could you help us work with some of our juvenile cases where with children in foster care and they're working on reunification. So we've been able to expand that way. These next two, I think, are really interesting statistics. So 74% of the participants in our mediation program are satisfied with the outcome. You know, I think when more than half of the people are happy with mediation, I think that's pretty, with the outcome, I think that's extraordinary. What I think is really extraordinary is 90% are satisfied with the process. So even the 15% or 16% that weren't happy with the outcome, many of them, the majority of them were happy with the process itself. So I think that says a lot about the quality of services. You can go to the next slide. In our housing supports and self-sufficiency. So our family self-sufficiency program is a long-term case management program. It's up to 5 years. It's for families that are either living with a housing choice voucher or receiving some level of public benefits. We help them work on their vocational goals or educational goals. We help them with small amounts of financial assistance. We've boosted the successful completion rate from 47% in 2024. We're projecting 57% this year. Our 5-year target was 60%, so we're making great strides on that. And then through the emergency rent assistance program, those funds that we have left over from our program that we did with IDA, we're working through it, not only our staff, but there's about 5 external agencies like People's Resource Center, Catholic Charities, that are helping assist households with rent assistance. Those households are getting approximately or average just over $6,000. It really helps a family. When you think about someone who's $6,000 behind on their rent and just think about the sort of the mental toll that takes on a family, we're really excited about that. Those funds run out. They expire at the end of September. So our staff and the agencies are working diligently to get those funds out into the street. Next one, please. In our intake and referral, we're really excited about we've achieved a national accreditation for our 211 service. It's quite a big deal. It's about an 18-month process, but we managed to get it done in a year. It includes an examination of basically everything, our staff training. They interview our staff. They interview community stakeholders. They look at our database. How do we maintain it? How we categorize all of the data that's in there, and then all of our policies and procedures. So we just achieved accreditation, I want to say, about a month ago. We've also launched, folks can now access 211 through texting, which is a tremendous benefit. I know we talked, I think in JPS, they talked about 911 for texting. Well, 211 is also available via text. And we've exceeded our strategic target with the strategic plan had a 5-year goal of 4% year-over-year growth on contacts in 211, and we've exceeded that. Last slide, please. And senior services, we have a senior fair coming up this Friday. It's in recognition of World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. But down in the atrium, there will be a senior fair. There's 36 different agencies in addition to our own, so all of our own internal programs will be highlighted there.
What time, Mary?
I want to say it's from 10 to 2, but I can let you know.
Thank you.
Did you put it on there?
I did. What was the day?
It's Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Friday.
The Adult Protective Services Unit reached out because they were having challenges with the length of time it was taking to petition for guardianship for seniors who are in crisis. One of the things that our Adult Protective Services and our ombudsman staff both do is identify seniors who are appropriate to have guardians appointed to them. We work with the public guardian to get those petitions filed. Public guardian has an enormous caseload, and so we're working with an external. We've worked with the state's attorney to identify an opportunity to have I think they're called a special assistant state
Special assistant,
attorney.
right.
Yeah, who can actually file those petitions so that we take that burden off of the public guardian. So that we're in that process of doing that now to try and get those guardianship cases in front of the courts much more quickly. And then finally, since January 1st, these are just some numbers. Adult Protective Services has investigated 424 cases, and the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program, 156 cases. So they continue to be exceptionally busy, incredibly challenging work, and that those staff do. So that's all 5 divisions. Like I said, there's lots of things going on, but I just really wanted to highlight some of not only just, significant achievements, but things that I think really fall in line with the community well-being approach for the strategic plan.
Thank you,
This
Mary.
is very, very.
Thank you, Mary.
Excellent. Thank you for your good
Yeah, go
work.
ahead. Member.
Thank you, Chair. I'm drinking from the township fire hose right now. And I know that we do rental assistance there too, so I guess I'd like to hear from you what the services difference are from the county to the townships.
Services do, townships do it's called the General Assistance Program. It's about $200. It's for individuals who have no other resources, and they typically have a work requirement with them. That comes from township general revenue funds. That's about all. And so the emergency rental assistance that we're doing is it was part of the ARPA bill.
Okay.
It was a special allocation. It was a $50 billion allocation in the federal ARPA program. And it's not ARPA, the county calls everything that came through the state and local fiscal recovery funds. Everybody's just referring to that as ARPA. ARPA was a ginormous bill. State and local fiscal recovery funds were one pot. Emergency rent assistance was another. So we're working through those. Now, we also do get rent assistance funds from Illinois Department of Human Services. There's some HUD funds that can be used for rent assistance. So there's lots of different programs. Typically, those rent programs, they're one-time assistance, and they typically have extremely rigid, very narrow eligibility, very small amounts of funds. The ERA, the Emergency Rent Assistance Program, has a much broader eligibility. But like I said, those funds expire at the end of September.
Okay, thank you, Mary.
Any other questions for Mary?
Will we be getting a copy? I'm not on this committee, but can I get a copy of the presentation?
I'm gonna do it, I think I'll do the human services on
So I'll
Tuesday
get
as well.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I
I
need
need
to
to,
make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mary?
yeah, so my apologies to those of you who are in human services. You'll have to hear it again.
This is great information, so I'm
It
sure
is
it'll be
good.
wonderful to hear it again. Thank you, Mary.
Okay, thanks. Oh,
Thank
any
you.
other questions? All right, thank you.
Yeah, good morning and afternoon, because it was always afternoon, sorry. Yeah, we threw as many words on this slide as we could possibly do. So you can print it later and read it, and the next one is just as bad. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about this. So in the community well-being priority, there was a specific call out milestone, I guess, for the Willowbrook Connors, Hinsdale Lake Terrace neighborhood, and establishing that partnership between DOT or DuPage County, PACE, and Uber. And that's been done. So we are 6 months into the pilot program. It's a 1-year program, and it's doing very well. So this hits the first 3 specific objectives of the community well-being priority. Specifically, it is providing equity and access to transportation. This is a lower income area, where most households have fewer cars and limited other transit options. 83% of the households are 0 or 1 car families. This allows those with limited funds to travel to work or other trips not to give up that limited resource to make that trip, perhaps taking a better job now that a different commute is an option, and not having to choose between what's more important, going to the doctor or getting to school or getting to your job. And now they've got the ability to make those choices. So those are the 3 dot points in summary. And it's been very successful. We are, in fact, maybe too successful. We briefed the Transportation Committee recently. We are spending money faster than we budgeted. We anticipated, and it was a guesstimate, but we anticipated $100,000 county contribution to this program over the course of the year. We've gone through 67,000 of that 100 in the first 3 months. So just having seen the first quarter numbers. So we're working on presenting to our committee in more detail some options, and then we'll bring that back to the larger board in the future when we know how we're going to handle that. But we've got some ideas, and we're going to let TC take a bite at that apple, and then we'll push it up the food chain. We are also investigating across the board how this pilot works in other communities. This is not the only community that has struggles with these kind of things. So it's something that may lead us to other questions as far as transportation is concerned countywide. And just keeping in the community well-being world, I like to think that everything we're doing out there, whether it's this pilot, our trails that is kind of unique to DuPage County compared to our other county partners, the complete streets mentality we take when we're building our roadways, and is all part of that, providing those transportation options to folks. So that's community well-being. Next slide. So the safe community specific objective is to ensure a safe and efficient network of roads, trails, and sidewalks, and the strategic safety action plan. Too many acronyms. The safety action plan is something that we've been working on with the state and CMAP. The feds gave the region a little over $4 million for every county to do a safety action plan. This kind of dovetails in with IDOT's Highway Safety Improvement Program and their statewide strategic safety plan. And the point of the study was to find out basically where are the drivers for the things that cause us safety concerns on the roadway in DuPage County specifically, but not specifically to our network. So this is countywide. This encompasses everybody's roads within the county, not just ours. And, just in general, fatal crashes in the last 5 years are increasing, and they're increasing everywhere on everybody's roads. It's a significant problem. We sometimes get a little too caught up in a statistic that shows severe injuries coming down. It's anecdotal and a little bit of a guess, but we're seeing less people get hurt and more people die. So speeds go up, severity goes up. So distraction, driver behavior, and so into the slide. So driver behavior is a serious problem. About 71% of the crashes that involve severe injury and fatality were aggressive driving, and I would argue that distraction is just as big a problem as that. So the 5-year rolling average is 44 fatals in our county every year. There's about 1,200 statewide, if we wanted to expand that. So we're contributing to that number about where you'd expect based on our population. 1,200 folks dying on roadways across the state. You think about 4 jumbo jets crashing fully loaded every year in Illinois. I don't think we'd really stand for that. So that's the kind of problem we have here. The point of the safety action plan, frankly, is to give all of us, everyone who operates any kind of transportation facility in the county, a roadmap or a list of potential countermeasures to deploy across your own jurisdictions including ours. And hopefully that will help us apply for the Highway Safety Improvement Program funds that IDOT administers. So that's federal funds and, so it's an 80-20 or a 90-10 split, depending on the type of project. And so this will allow us and our partners to maybe get a better bite of the apple. And then other things we're doing in this objective, as we talked about, Hinsdale Lake Terrace earlier, we are doing an infrastructure project there in addition to the rideshare access program we mentioned a minute ago. So sidewalk and lighting as part of a Safe Routes to School grant. We're also using that HSIP program that I mentioned. And additionally, we are working on a handful of bridges that were structurally deficient or had load postings to try and maintain safety on our highway network. I think that's the last slide. So, and I apologize for all the words.
No, good work.
All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. That was really helpful. All right, we can move on to our next part of the presentation.
I don't have a lot of words on my slides, but
But
I only have
Do you
one
have cute
slide,
puppies
so.
pictures?
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't. Usually we don't have to worry about the little puppies when it comes to public safety, but our objectives were to increase rabies compliance, promote welfare for domestic animals, and then prevent negative interactions with wildlife. We take a whole community approach when we do this because the challenge is a lot of these things are happening outside our jurisdiction of where we might be dispatching officers to go address an animal-related concern. So a big part of this was partnering with other agencies who are the first responders or those people that are getting those initial phone calls to make sure that they have the tools, the resources, and know how to talk to their residents when there's an animal-related issue. So part of that was we were able to host a training for our police officers, and then we also invited our forest preserve rangers. We know they're interacting with people in their dog parks or just on their trails. We had 25 agencies attend, which was over 50 people in attendance. They learned about everything that we talk about in our objectives, and then some. We invited other partner agencies like the DuPage Conservation Center, Illinois Department of Natural Resources to also come out and share their expertise when it comes to wildlife interactions. And then we also sent them home with field service kits so that they could have the tools to be out in the field, whether it's with microchip scanners, carriers, leashes, treats, things like that. We had a really overwhelming positive response from it, and they want us to keep doing this each year. We fund this from our budget, and we were able to get a little bit of grant funding to help pay for some of those field service kits. Another part of this is targeting outreach at maybe higher risk locations. So how do we reach people who have dogs where maybe bite situations are happening? And part of this is happening, at dog parks, people let their dogs off leash. And while it's challenging for us to be at all those locations, we're using social media as a strategy to try to get information out there. We're also using those opportunities to talk to pet owners when they have been a part of a bite situation to help them understand how to prevent that from happening again. And I will say we don't see a lot of repeat things. If we're seeing a repeat situation, it's normally not at the dog park. People have usually learned their lesson after going once. It might be a bigger underlying problem we're trying to help them through. And then the third part of that was really broadening education for the general public. So our goal was to increase for this fiscal year by 10%, and year to date, we're up 5% over last year. A lot of our public programming tends to happen when the weather's a little bit nicer. So we're on track to probably hit that 10% increase. To give you an idea, last year we did about 115 programs out in the community, which is a lot given the fact that I have one education person. So one of the things that we're doing is as we try to recruit and retain new animal control officers, we're doing some cross training so they can start delivering more education programs. So it's not just one person delivering that information. And then finally, with regards to bite investigations, year to date, we've been fairly in line with the last 2 years worth of investigations. It's tricky to understand, we're not in people's homes, and we're also not always the ones interacting with these people. And we know there's a significant number of bites that even don't get reported to us. We're regularly communicating with the health department and other agencies to try to get information out to make sure those reports are coming to us. But sometimes we just don't know what we don't know. But once again, using more broad tools like social media and other targeted marketing campaigns to try to reduce that. We have a lot of bite safety information that we distribute online. And so we'd love to see that number go down. We did just have our first positive bat. And we take that really serious when somebody has interacted with a bat. So we had a family that found a bat in their home. And they called us and let us know that they had found this bat. We said, okay, well, it needs to come in for testing. It was not in our jurisdiction. We will go out and pick it up in our jurisdiction. Well, they never showed up. So my officer was phenomenal and did a follow-up call the next day. And they said, well, we decided we were going to keep it as a pet. So we quickly talked to them about the dangers and that this is not an ideal pet. And they had handled it as well as her young children had handled it. And it did come back positive for rabies. So we take those really seriously. We're constantly trying to put information out there, and it just takes one, right? And we're really serious about that. So yeah, any questions about what we're doing? Yeah.
Go ahead, Member Rutledge.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, for all that you do for work there. And so the bite education, how much of it is geared toward parents with young children who torture dogs and are just waiting to be bit?
Well, so we're actually, it's funny you put it that way. So we do a lot with children, right? And one of the things that we did differently this year, you guys all know we've been under construction. And so we've been going out into the community through library programs. We partnered with park districts. I think being in communities where people are has been a more effective strategy than always expecting them to come to us or assuming that they're in the same type of media channels that we're pushing information out. But we just came up with a new campaign that we're going to be doing called A Growl is Good. So sometimes like our little catchphrases are meant to be kind of, catchy, right? So that kids are hearing or a growl is good, right? A growl is a warning. And sometimes people think a dog is smiling and really it's not, or the ears are back. And so we do a ton of body language stuff.
My son got hit by a dog in the face when he was 2 because he was hugging the dog.
Yeah. So a lot of it is geared towards children, but we know that it's the parents that are helping to kind of monitor those situations. And we do a lot of counseling when we're personally adopting dogs out, and even cats for that
Thank you for
matter.
that. That's what I wanted to hear.
But, and we hope that's happening in other shelters and rescue groups as well.
Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions?
Looking forward to Saturday.
Yeah.
Us
Yeah.
too. And reopening on Saturday, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the next part of our presentation.
Sarah.
Thank you. And I'm doing Craig's too, right, Jeremy?
I was gonna do Craig's, you can do Craig's.
Sure, I can, it'll be faster. So, thank you. I just made it'll be faster because it'll be one person.
Okay.
Thank you. Craig and I have actually, we've been working together on these initiatives, and so that's why I brought that up. The first objective was about emergency preparedness, all hazard planning, and community engagement. One big thing that Craig and I have worked on in the last couple of years is that OEM and stormwater combined to reach out to FEMA to get a grant to rewrite what used to be our natural hazards mitigation plan to be an all hazards mitigation plan. So it was all encompassing. Paula, you probably know from your previous life that the natural hazards mitigation plan is the guidepost that every community needs to utilize in the county to receive any kind of funding from FEMA. If that plan isn't approved and in place at the county level and adopted by the local community, then no FEMA funding is available for that municipality or a resident. So in the event of, say, the Father's Day tornadoes that we had in 2020, 2021, with the Father's Day tornadoes, we would have not received any disaster assistance if we didn't have this plan in place. The plan that DuPage County adopted was originally in place in 2007. That's when we put our plan in place. And since then, that was a natural hazards mitigation plan, strongly focused on flooding because that is our largest natural hazard that we encompass here in DuPage County. But since then, we have broadened that to an all hazards mitigation plan where we've actually talked about things like hauling hazardous material on our railways and things associated with that. And so there's been a huge broadening of that. And so we did meet that milestone. We've made an effort to get out and promote this at the community level. In March, I presented this at the statewide conference for stormwater and floodplain managers. And it was a well-attended seminar. DuPage County and Kane County both presented on our plans that we have as kind of sister agencies between counties. And it gave the other counties kind of some options of what they can do to get their plan updated and in place. And so that was the big focus that we've done as far as emergency preparedness and really taking these plans and getting out into the community and focusing on that. Stormwater has a huge initiative for community engagement. We are out almost every week at an event on the weekends or in the evening, talking to the residents about what they can do for their emergency preparedness or protect their home. And the both stormwater focuses on water quality and water quantity, but we also do turn them toward OEM and other natural or in other hazard preparedness groups. So, and then, or you can do Craig's.
Next slide.
Thank
You might know more than I do, but Craig was he wishes he could be here. Unfortunately, he had a prior engagement that he could not get out of. But his updates are actually very short. For the strategic planning, they're reviewing the EOP, the Emergency Operations Plan, and just getting it in line with the state. That's going forward to help better serve the community. And then they're overhauling the Ready DuPage County.gov. The big takeaway on that is the accessibility aspect of that. If there's an emergency, you need to be able to have the accessibility to view that information. So that is all I'm allowed to share according to Craig, because he was very specific on giving us that, but they have a very granular, they dig down into this stuff and they're doing a great job. So with that, that's the last one. Final slide is just questions, but you guys have asked some great questions so far. But if you have any lingering ones, I'm sure folks will be happy to answer them for you.
Any more questions for Sarah? Don't ask any questions to Jeremy.
I can answer questions on Craig's stuff too if you need it.
All right, well, go ahead.
More just a comment.
Yes, Monique.
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that presented here today, and especially thanks to Sarah for being so proactive in the stormwater area and doing the presentations and going out in the community. It's one of those things that affects all the communities. And I remember during those Father's Day tornadoes, I was a trustee at the time in Lombard out helping with cleanup, and there was a lot of, there was a lot of things going on, and it was helpful. There was help from DuPage County, all the other local municipalities. So just wanted to say thanks specifically for that.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions? Do we have any old business? Any new business? Well, before we adjourn, I know.
I know.
I just want to take a moment again to thank you all for being here. I know it's been a long day for everyone, so I really appreciate, especially Member Deacon Garcia. Although you're not part of the committee, you're still here. So thank you so much, and thank you to all the departments.
Just love being here.
Without objection, we are adjourned.